Hello all, this is the last video in my playlist. So in this video, we will take a look at how to create an advanced vendor form, like a simple project. Let's assume that there is a problem statement that the procurement team, whenever they want to create a vendor, they are using the forms and they are submitting a request to the supply team. And the supply data team, they are taking the request and they are filling the data. Let's take a quick look at the data. So this is the form that the procurement team has been using. And the problem over here is that whenever they submit the data, they are missing to, sometimes they're not filling all the mandatory information which is required for the supply data team to process and to set up the vendor in the ERP tool. Now, because of this, the lead end-to-end time for creation of suppliers is getting increased, and they are not able to fulfill the request in less time. So you are the one of the developers, and they have asked you to put some controls over here so that when they update the data over here and once they update all the mandatory information, once they click on the validate the data button, the data has to come and the data has to sit over here. And from here, the supply data team, they will take and they will work. So our duty is that ensure that once they fill all the data and all the mandatory information, once they click on the validate the data has to move from here to here. Okay, let's quickly see how we can do this one. Okay, let me delete the existing data here by using the macros. Okay, so firstly, let's see how we can clear the data. So go to developer tab. So Visual Basic, and I would like to have a new project, a new this one, and here I'm going to write sub clear date clear data in vendor form. Okay, so we have to clear the data from here to here um, whenever they click on this clear the data button, so that whenever they come here they can start everything freshly. Okay, so dim ws as worksheet. Okay, and on error, resume next, set ws is equal to this workbook dot sheets of vendor form. Okay, and now if not ws is nothing, so if the sheet exists, I would like to, if in case if this doesn't exist, I would like to showcase that vendor vendor form sheet does not exist. Okay, if in case if this exists, I would like to see ws dot range. So here b5 to b20, b5 to b20 dot clear. Okay, let's run this quickly. Okay, so clear data in vendor form. Okay, let's say like a clear data in the vendor form. Let's assign the macro here. Assign macro a clear data in the vendor form. Click on this one. For example, if they have the value high, um, no artist, um, no artist, high tech city. Okay, Hyderabad. For example, if they have the data, when they click on clear the data has been cleared. So this is one part, and let's in the second one, let's I mean whenever they update the data over here, so let's move the data from this sheet to this sheet. Okay, so I'm creating one more module, and I'm going to name this as sub a validate the data in vendor form. Okay, so we have two sheets, right? Dim ws as worksheet and dim vd as worksheet. So we have two sheets here. So on error, um, resume next. So set ws is equal to this workbook dot sheets vendor form. and set vd is equal to this workbook dot sheets vendor data. Okay, so we have both the sheets over here. And now, if not ws is nothing, if both the sheets exist and vd is and not vd is nothing, if both the sheets exist, then and if you have not watched my previous videos, I do recommend you to watch these videos. Whatever I'm writing over here, everything I have covered in this playlist. There are around 33 videos, excluding this video. Please do watch those videos, so to understand what I'm writing over here. And now, so how many rows are there right now? We have 20. We can keep like 20, but I love to do everything dynamically. Count rows, last row as long. Okay, so let's count the rows here. Count rows is equal to ws dot um, rows dot count. Okay, last row is equal to ws dot cells count rows comma 1 dot and excel up dot row. So this gives the count as, for example, if you want to see debug dot print last row, it should print the value as 20. Okay, cool. Now let's delete this one. Now dim I, and also I need the dim um, attribute name. So let's do this one. For I is equal to, so it starts from 5 5 to 5 to last row, which is 20 here. Next I, attribute name is equal to ws dot cells I comma 1 dot value. So when I is equal to 5, the name over here, let's print and see. Okay, I wanted everything to be uppercase, and I want to trim the value so that if there are any trailing or leading spaces, it will be ignored. And I would like to print, see what are all the names. Print attribute name. Okay, you can see all the values over here. And now let's see if attribute name is equal to vendor name, then I'm creating a vendor name. This is equal to ws dot cells I comma 2 dot value. So if the attribute name is vendor name, I want to assign the water the value which is over here to a name called vendor name. So why we are doing this one? Because we don't know, maybe someone may insert a rows just like that. So basically these kind of things really change the value from 5 to 6. And so we whatever we do, the programming should be dynamic, not the static. And now um, else if attribute name is equal to vendor secondary name, then vendor secondary name is equal to ws dot cells. We have to do everything for all the values. We have to do like this. So I'm copying this data and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, let's quickly do this one. So address line 1, so address line 2. Okay, city, state, county, mm, type, country, tax number 1, tax number 2, tax number 3, tax number 4, company code, purchasing org, payment terms, and let's have one more, which is approval. Okay, and I have to change this one as well. So else if this secondary name. Okay, so this is address line 1, and this is address line 2, and this is city. I have to change, I have to assign a value variables. Actually, I'm doing that over here. State, county, and type of vendor, and country, tax number 1, and I'm assigning this as tax number 2, tax number 3, tax number 4, tax number company code, purchasing org, and also let's do something called this is payment terms, and this is approval required. So these are all the names that I'm giving it over here. So I would like to have all these names here as well for my quick reference. This is the vendor name. Okay, let's copy this one home, black. Okay, so this is the vendor name, and this is vendor secondary name, address line 1, address line 2, city, state, county, type of vendor, country, tax number 1, tax number 2, tax number 3, tax number 4. This is the company code, this is the purchasing, this is the purchasing org, this is the payment terms, and this is the approval required. Now we have this one, so let's move the data. Once you update the data, let's move the data from here to vendor data. So here, move the data from vendor form sheet to vendor data sheet. So whatever for example, vendor name, vendor secondary name, all the columns over there here. So let's move the data. So how we can move the data? So let's count how many rows are there in the sheet as well. So for that, mm, dim count rows vd, comma last row vd as long. Okay, vd is the sheet name that we have updated here. So count rows vd is equal to vd dot rows dot count last row vd is equal to vd dot cells count rows vd comma 1 dot end excel dot row. Okay, okay, now vd dot cells this one. So basically this gives like 1, so plus 1. So for example, there's already one row, so it starts with, if I add plus 1, the new data it will come and it will add from cell to cell this one. So plus 1 comma 1 is equal to the data here. Okay, so like this, let's copy this data here. Okay, so let's do vendor secondary name, address line 1, address line 2, city, state, county, type of vendor, country, tax number 1, tax number 2, tax number 3, tax number 4, company code, purchasing org, payment terms, approval required. Okay, so this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, this is 8, this is 9, this is 10, this is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so once after this one, I wanted a message box. Data validation has been done and the data moved to validate data sheet. Okay, so what is the name of this one? A validate. So let's do this one as in macro. A validate. Okay, A validate the data. Let's just access a sheet. A clear data. A validate the data. Okay. So now let's update quickly. Like the data as Novartis vendor name. Let's delete this data. Mhm. Secondary name incorporate address line. High tech city near Durgam. Chervu city is Hyderabad. State Telangana. Type is vendor. Country is India. Tax number ABC. And company code IN01. IN45 purchasing or payment days 30 days. Approval is. Let's click on the valid data. Okay, syntax error. Okay. Now let's do this one. Compile next. Okay, let's see. Okay, we have if here. So basically we should have and if here. Okay, this should have done. Okay. Okay, validation has been done and the data has been moved successfully. Now if you go to here, okay, nothing has moved to here. Let's quickly see why. There's a small spelling mistake that I made. The attribute name ATT. Okay, here attribute name. Oops. Attribute name, attribute name, attribute name. Attribute name, attribute name, attribute name, attribute name. Let's save this one. Let's go back to the data. Let's click on the validate data. Data has been successfully validated. Let's see. The data is over here. Let's clear all the data and let's go to vendor form and let's validate the data. Data has been validated and you can see the data over here. For example, if they have like some other name Mylan, let's click on the data. It is updating the data as a second row, as the other row. This is totally fine, but the problem statement over here is that all the values which are highlighted in this color, they are the mandatory ones. So even for example, even if the value is not filled and if the mandatory value is not filled, when we are clicking on the valid data, now the data is getting created here, right? So what we can do for this one, so I will tell you a simple trick. Let's do something like for example is equal to if this value not equal to blank, keep 0. If it is blank, I wanted this to be 1. So update this one everywhere. So now wherever there is a mandatory field and the value is not updated, it will be 1. So now is equal to sum of all these values. So now let's see. Okay, now the value is 11, which is greater than 0. Now if I update vendor name, for example Microsoft, all the mandatory information, example it has become 0. Address line Hyderabad, city Hyderabad, state state Telangana, type vendor. You can see it is becoming 0. Country India, tax number 1 ABC, company code IN01, US 01, 30 days. Approval, no. Okay, now everything is fine. But if this is like this is one. So basically, if the value is greater than one, exit the sub. Let's see what we can do. Okay, let's go back to here. Let's have one more value, dim check key as long. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, if so what is the check key value? Check key is equal to ws dot sales first dot com dot value. If check key greater than 0, then end if message box, please update all the mandatory fields, and then exit sub. Okay, now let's see what will happen. Now, because there's a mandatory information missing, click on validate the data. Please update all mandatory fields. And the data is not moving to here, the Microsoft. So once they update all the values here, for example, IN22, validate the data has been passed and the data has been moved to here. If in case if you want to clear the data, click on this button, it will clears all the data. And for this one, let's hide to make it look nice. So this is now our vendor form. So let's clear all the data. So let's add one more, which is genpact incorporate address line, Marahalli, to let it be city Bangalore, state Karnataka, type in vendor, country India, tax number XYZ, um, US 0, US 01, US 45, 22 days, approval, yes. Now all the data is there. Let's say 22 is not filled. Okay, let's click on the validate the data. So you can see that it's asking us to update all the information. Let's update like 22. Validation has been done. Let's go to here, genpact data. So this is how you can put the controls in a form, so that whenever they submit the data, and all the mandatory information is available, then it moves the data from one sheet to other sheet. Thank you for watching this video. This is the last video in this tutorial. If you like my content, and if you are liking my videos, please do watch, and please do like and subscribe. Please do recommend to your friends as well. If in case if you're looking for a personal training, or if in case if you have any queries, or if you need support, please drop an email to my email address, which I have pinned in the description. Thank you, and I wish you all the best.